New York City, often called the Big Apple or the city that never sleeps, is a place where cultures collide, economies thrive, and history unfolds. It is one of the most iconic cities in the world, but its history is far more intricate and layered than most people realize. Let's dive into the fascinating past of this great metropolis.
Before the first Europeans arrived, the land we now call New York City was inhabited by the Lenape people. These Native Americans lived in the region for thousands of years, thriving off its rich natural resources. They called the area Lenapehoking, meaning land of the Lenape. The island of Manhattan in particular was an important center for trade, culture, and settlement.
In 1609, English explorer Henry Hudson, sailing under the Dutch flag, arrived in what is now New York Harbor. Hudson's discovery of the river that now bears his name sparked Dutch interest in the area. In 1624, the Dutch established a settlement called New Amsterdam on the southern tip of Manhattan Island. The settlement grew quickly, benefiting from its location as a trading hub for fur and other goods. The Dutch influence continued until 1664, when the English seized the colony. They renamed it New York, in honor of the Duke of York, later King James II of England. The city's early years were marked by conflicts with the indigenous peoples and tensions with European settlers, but New York's commercial potential soon became undeniable. By the late 17th century, New York City was a thriving port, with people from all over the world calling it home. However, the 18th century brought with it greater challenges. As tensions between the American colonies and Great Britain escalated, New York City became a focal point for revolutionary activity. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed, and New York's role in the American Revolution began in earnest. The British took control of the city, but after years of struggle, the United States emerged victorious in 1783, and New York became the first capital of the newly formed nation. As the nation grew, so did New York City. The 19th century saw a massive influx of immigrants, especially from Ireland and Germany, escaping famine and political unrest in Europe. This wave of newcomers transformed the city's population, making it a melting pot of cultures, languages, and traditions.
My family came in 1845 from Ireland. We arrived at Ellis Island, the gateway to America, and started a new life. It was hard, but we built our future here.
With the opening of the Erie Canal in 1825, New York City cemented its position as the economic capital of the United States. The canal allowed goods to flow easily from the interior of the country to the port, making it the nation's busiest commercial hub. The late 19th century ushered in the Industrial Revolution, and New York became a major center of industry and finance. Skyscrapers began to punctuate the skyline, the most famous being the Empire State Building, which would later stand as a symbol of the city's ambition. New York also became a cultural capital with theaters, museums, and music scenes flourishing. This period saw the rise of powerful business magnates like J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller, whose wealth helped shape the city. However, this was also a time of stark inequality, with many workers living in overcrowded tenements, struggling to survive in the city's ever-expanding economy. The 20th century brought both triumph and tragedy to New York City. During the early decades, the city was the epicenter of the roaring economic boom of the 1920s, and then, the sudden collapse during the Great Depression in the 1930s. The construction of iconic landmarks like the Chrysler Building, the Rockefeller Center, and the Golden Gate Bridge marked the city's triumph over adversity. However, the stock market crash of 1929 left many people in desperate circumstances. The city was forced to rebuild itself once again. World War II brought prosperity as the city's factories produced military goods. And in the post-war years, New York became a beacon of progress, with the civil rights movement, women's rights, and the growing LGBTQ+ movement beginning to make their mark. The late 20th century and early 21st century witnessed a renaissance in New York City. The city, which had seen a decline in the 1970s, came back stronger than ever. In the 1990s, a crime reduction initiative made the city safer. New York became the global capital for finance, culture, and technology. However, on September 11, 2001, the city faced its darkest hour. The terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center left deep scars, but also demonstrated the resilience of New Yorkers. The city rebuilt itself once again, and the site of Ground Zero became a symbol of strength and renewal. Today, New York City stands as a testament to the diversity, resilience, and spirit of its people. From the early days of the Lenape to the bustling metropolis it is today, the history of New York City is a story of constant reinvention. New York City is not just a place, it's an idea. It's a symbol of hope, opportunity, and the promise of new beginnings. From the first footsteps of indigenous people to the dreams of immigrants, and from skyscrapers to skyscrapers of glass, the city's history continues to evolve. One thing is for certain, New York City's story is far from over,